Ken Rodgers with Armin and Levac on 104.5 The Team. He is responsible for the latest 30 for 30 that's going to debut this Saturday night after the Heisman ceremony. He's the director of the latest 30 for 30 titled Four Falls of Buffalo. Ken, in your words, give us the premise of Four Falls of Buffalo.
Well, the title says it all, but there's actually multiple meanings to the title. Of course, Four Falls on the surface of it refers to their 4 Super Bowl losses in the early 90s, a feat both amazing and tragic at the same time. Amazing to get back to 4 straight Super Bowls, and tragic to, of course, lose all 4 of them. But it's also about the 4 autumns, as you will, seasons of this team that really captured the imaginations of the country at the time, and not necessarily for all positive reasons. There was a lot of people who, at the time, wanted this team to just go away, and their ability to keep coming back is really inspirational.
It's weird because they make the Super Bowl 4 years in a row, yet they're a failure because they don't win one. So, Ken, how should we view them?
It's very easy to tell our children that winning isn't the most important thing. It's trying hard, or it doesn't matter if you get knocked down. It matters if you get back up. And none of that's really true. If that was true, we would celebrate the Bills on an annual basis for being one of the great teams ever. Instead, we grew tired of them as a country because we care about winning a lot more than we like to admit. And we just got tired of seeing the same thing, the Bills losing in the Super Bowl, and we turn them into sort of a punchline instead of holding them up as examples of what we should love about sports in America.
Film director Ken Rodgers, his latest project, 30 for 30, Four Falls of Buffalo, airs Saturday night at 9:30. What was the aspect of this documentary that you're most proud of, Ken?
I think it's got to be the inclusion of Scott Norwood and his very raw and emotional interview that he did with us, and his return to the steps of City Hall in Buffalo, where he was greeted upon missing that kick wide right, not to boos, but full-fledged cheers by thousands of fans there in Buffalo. And he was very emotional about it. I think it's obviously still very vivid in his head, and he was very clear to us that he wishes things were differently, not so much for his own legacy. He's learned to accept that and live with that, but he really wishes it could have gone through the uprights for the people of Western New York. He was really insistent in his interview over and over again, talking about how the area, and Buffalo in particular, is a city of winners, and that they deserved it, and that he feels bad for them that they didn't get to taste that victory much more than how he feels about himself.
Oh, so as a whole, Ken, you told us how society views that team in the 90s. How do the players themselves that were on that team as a whole, how do they view that team that went to the Super Bowl 4 times and lost?
I think they are full of pride about it. It's actually one of the things that surprised me the most. I expected a lot of hurt and maybe anger. They've really come to peace with the fact that they were a great team, and no one can tell them any different just because of those losses in the Super Bowl. I think they all wish it could be different, but they've been recognized in other ways. I mean, if you think about the Super Bowl Bills, including ownership and coach and GM, there's 8 of them in the Hall of Fame right now from those teams. That says a lot. I think they are getting recognition, and I think this will be a way for people across the country to reassess the Bills, to reassess their place in history, really to reassess Scott Norwood's place in history as well. Like, does he deserve to always be mentioned whenever somebody talks about the worst moment in sports or the toughest loss? And it always comes back to Scott Norwood. Is that fair? I think it'll make everyone think a little bit more deeply about the subject.
Oh, Cannot wait for this one. Saturday night,
I know,
30
I'm
for
fired
30. It's going to be great. Right after the Heisman ceremony. Set your DVRs now around 9:30. 4 Falls of Buffalo, documenting the 4 Super Bowl losses in the early 90s for the Buffalo Bills. As if anyone around here needs to be told and given details on what we're talking about, because to this day, Ken, Buffalo Bills fans in the capital region, they're crazy. They run rampant around here, and to this day, they're conflicted on how to feel, and this documentary will continue to shed light on that. The talented Ken Rodgers was behind this, director of the 30 for 30 on Saturday night. At Ken Rodgers NFL is his Twitter. Ken, thanks so much for your time today, man. Looking forward to Saturday.
Thanks so much. Hope everybody enjoys the film.